Excuse me?
We don't have a remote.
With...
That works?
Never mind. Don't keep it down. There's a button on the side. There's a button, right? There's a button? Yes, of course there is.
There are a lot of buttons.
No, there's one button on the side.
That just turns it off.
No, it doesn't. Try moving it. Don't press it. Move it. Right? Okay. I always get commercials. Let's see. Am I live?
Yeah.
Audio, video. Hang on. Commercials. Alright. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Live from Jerusalem this Saturday night. Hey, Thinking Time is here. Dev Coffee is here. MV is here. Batty is here. What's up? What's up? It's good to see you people. It's all good. It's all good. What's up with you? I was in your last stream. I asked about your thoughts on Islam. Remember, MV says? Well, I mean, people ask me about Islam all the time. So I don't know if particularly, I don't remember your particular comment in the chat. But I've spoken on my views on Islam many, many times. How you guys doing? How you boys and girls doing? How's your Saturday coming along? How's your weekend? Hey, Kick is here, my favorite Jew. He says, well, I'm just a simple dumbass here, but I appreciate the sentiment. How many years to grow hair? I mean, I've been growing my hair for about 17 years or so. I took my vow 15 years ago, just over 15 years. So yeah. All right, so a lot of things going on, a lot of comments, which I am happy to. Oh, you know what? Here, let's. I wanted to start a poll. Maybe I'll do that soon. Must be early. Hey, Ricky, how you doing? Anyways, I'm going to have to leave, but I love your streams and I'm inspired as a Muslim. Thanks, you man. Thank you. Only 9 people? Well, I just started and I've only been live for 1 or 2 minutes. Give it some time, Ricky. Hey, America First is here. Here for class. Hello to one of the one rational people in the Middle East with a phone. I have my rational moments. I have my irrational moments. Hey, Mr. Z is here as well. Check out his channel. He's a great drummer. He's got a great drum kit. Hey, 1NTE. Hello, friend. Hello to you. Shalom to all. How's it going, my brother? I wish you and yours peace and love. Peace and love to all. MV. Thanks for dropping by, man. Have a great one. Enjoy your weekend. Illiterate merchant warlord. Guess who? I don't know. I don't know who the illiterate merchant warlord would be. I really honestly don't know. Supposedly there have been many of them. I've never asked, says Dev Coffee, but does your hair ever get itchy from the weight of your hair? No, I mean, it will only get itchy if it's dirty, or if a long time passes and I don't shower, I don't shampoo it, which doesn't really happen. So no, it doesn't get itchy. I've had braids one time and the itchiness weight on my scalp drove me nuts. Well, the thing with growing natural dreadlocks, or just letting the hair lock up or do its thing, regardless of the dreads, you lower your voice a bit. Lower your voice just a bit. Thank you. Is that it happens naturally. So there's time for I didn't get the first knot in my hair until like 6 months in. And one tiny little knot in the back of my hair, which eventually led to this thing. But it started off as one tiny little knot. So yeah. What prayer do you say before you drink your tea? It's the Shehakol, which basically translates into, Blessed are you, Adonai, King of the universe, that everything was created in his speech, or by his word, or that's what it is. Hey, Anon is here. How are you? How's it going over there? All good? Any news? I mean, I don't follow the news. There's news going on all the time. Supposedly, there's peace talks going on between the different factions of this war. Hopefully the ceasefire will last. Hopefully we will have peace and love and justice and prosperity throughout all of creation, which includes Iran and Israel and the United States. So yeah, there are blessings for before drink, before food, before wine, before bread. There are blessings when you see the rainbow. There are blessings for a lot of different things that go on a daily basis. Speaking of which, I'll take the tea bag out. Today I have regular black tea with a squeeze of lemon. So yeah, things are going really, really well. As for being here for class, I'm not a teacher. It's just a conversation. We're just talking. That's all that this is. It's all that it's ever been. I'll put my own spin on things, as you know, and regurgitate things as well. But I'm not a teacher, not a preacher. All right, let's continue. There was there were things in the, let's go, there were things in the, first of all, Jennifer Christianso quoted Revelation to me about me being synagogue of Satan, to which I said, you quoting Revelation to a Jew who doesn't follow the New Testament? Is that supposed to have some sort of an effect on me? Because it doesn't. And then he said, do you think you're making your people look good? You're not doing Judaism any favors with your behavior. You know, I don't claim to represent Judaism. I don't claim to represent Jews. I claim to represent myself, and I may not be doing a good job with that either. So the argument that Jennifer here is making is not really, doesn't hold any water. It really doesn't. Starboy is here. Hey, Starboy, how you doing? Hey, my father is here. Hello, Paul. How you doing? I hope you had a good Shabbos. Blue Nades or Nadis says, what do you think about Netanyahu? I think he needs to go. That's it. That's part of why I'm going to vote in the next election after not voting for about 20 years, because that dude needs to go. He had his time in office. Maybe, it's a democratic election. He was elected each and every time democratically. But now, no, he needs to go. He definitely needs to go. Are you Einstein? Says 3._2xd0. No, I'm not Einstein. Your choice, says Nijamalidm. My choice? What about my choice? Which choice are we talking about here? Hey, Ball is here. Peace to you, man. Hope you're having a blessed day. It has been a very blessed Shabbos. I even got a couple of hours, an hour and a half or two of a nap in the afternoon, and that's always amazing, even with little kids in the house. I don't take it for granted when I can nap for a couple of hours. My woman, the trooper that she is, looked after the kids, and I had a nap. Are there hygiene standards where you like? I don't know what that means. There are hygiene standards in the sense of, as individuals, we're supposed to look after our body, look after our mind, and so those were the hygiene standards. But as for society, I guess that's neither here nor there. Rasta Jesus, says John. No, I'm not a Rasta or Jesus, but thanks, I appreciate the sentiment. Are you permanent to use tech during Shabbos? Well, it's not Shabbat anymore. Shabbat ended in Israel about an hour and a half ago or so, something like that. So it was Shabbat for 25 hours, and then we escorted the Queen's Sabbath out, so I'm using electricity again. But no, I don't use tech on Shabbat from just before sundown on Friday into the Shabbos, and until the stars are out, about 25 hours, no screens, no electricity, and I do set timers in advance for things like the lights here and the AC if we want it, but I don't touch it. Ball says, the Terminator was the prequel to The Matrix. What do you think? No, I think those are two very, very different scripts. I think those are two very different genres. They both have action, of course, but they speak to very different things, even though robots are in both of them. And to some degree, Terminators are in both of them, right? But no, I don't think that it was a prequel to The Matrix. I think they both stand alone as wonderful films. Now, I loved the first Matrix. The other three, so the action scenes were always good. Visually, it's very nice. The story and the plot was not the same. I think the first one had the most strong, plot and story. As for Terminator, 1 and 2 are awesome. I don't think I saw the others. Number 2, Judgment Day, Terminator 2 is one of those occasions where the sequel outdoes the prequel. I agree the first ones are the best ones. Yeah. Ricky says, what's a good Israeli movie or series? Doesn't matter what genre. Look, I'm to my shame, I am a screenwriter who doesn't watch enough TV. I'm a screenwriter who doesn't watch enough movies, international or local. But Shababnikim is good. I've heard good things about Fauda, which I didn't watch. Movie or series, in movies there are many of them. Do you want it in Hebrew? Do you want it in English or Arabic? What are you going for here? Mivtza Savta, Operation Grandma is a good one. It's a quick 50-minute comedy. It's very good. If you must choose, says Nor Winar, would you say Islam or Christianity is closer to Judaism? Well, I don't know either in depth, so I'm loath to have, if I must choose, I would say Islam is closer by definition because Christianity is idolatry in the sense that it says that there is a God in human form. in the Hebrew faith, in the Torah, there is no God in human form, and I know that in Islam, if I'm not mistaken, there is no God in human form either. So if I had to choose, Islam is closer to Judaism. Likewise, halachic rulers, right, the rabbinic law in most cases states that a Hebrew man or woman are allowed to pray in a mosque, but not in a church. We are not allowed to enter a church. We are allowed to enter a mosque. So just right off the bat, I would say Islam is closer fundamentally. As for how it's carried out and the commandments and the traditions and customs, I have no idea. I know that Orthodox Christianity and Catholicism likely borrow, since they were the first churches, right? They borrow plenty of things from the Hebrew faith and from the Hebrew ritual regarding the temple or tabernacle. Hey, I just watched y'all Iran rally live. They're fired up, says PWT. I'm not sure what that means. There was a rally in Iran? Okay, cool. Is India a good ally? From what I've gathered, yes, but I don't know the relationship in depth. Again, I'm not sure. Laila Tov, you're going to bed angry? Yes. Why go to bed angry? Good night, sweet dreams. Ili Dodo says, which is how you know both are wrong and Christianity is correct. See, I'm not claiming that Judaism is correct as opposed to the other two which are incorrect. I'm not claiming right and wrong. I'm just, here talking to people. But okay, there are those who claim that one is wrong, one is right. I don't know. I know that for the Hebrew people, we have the Hebrew Torah, and that is what is right for us. Other nations have their ways, other nations have their deities, other nations have their scriptures, their traditions, and they can go as they will. James Bong is here from West Kentucky, Baruch Hashem. He says, hello to you. Hello indeed. Dodo says, not saying you are, just commenting on your stream. God bless, all love. All right, cool. Hey, Mr. Big is here. Sounds interesting, he says. Yes, certain things do sound interesting. Other things maybe less interesting. Do you believe in the Talmud, says Enrev? The Talmud is not something you believe in. The Talmud is where rabbinic law, in part, is derived from. So, no, it's not a question of belief in the Talmud. The Talmud is a series of conversations, debates, arguments, and lore and myth and legend, all in there. It's the traditions that were around at the time that were written down, and the oral traditions, the oral Torah that was written down. But there is argument and discussion and debate, and that's where rabbinic law is derived from. The opinion of the minority is still brought there, even if it's not put into actual law. All right. Thoughts on Kahanism? YW asks, look, Rabbi Meir Kahana had some good ideas. His followers and him likely have some bad ideas. The thoughts on Kahanism, I know that Kahanism was made an actual terrorist group or organization here in the States, and it was I think in the States as well, outlawed here in Israel. Why did I say the States? Because he was American, right? Rabbi Meir Kahana was American, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, you gotta pick a pocket or two, boys. You've got to pick a pocket or two. It says no to war. Amen, no to war. Let's have peace. Let's have peace. Kenny says, what does Baal have to do with everything, or is it insignificant? Well, Baal is not a Hebrew deity, so it's insignificant. Now, the Hebrews, all around the time of the first temple, and until the time of the second temple, still worshipped foreign deities, right? Foreign gods, and Baal was one of them. But after the inclination to worship foreign gods was lifted out of Israel at the time of the second temple, or around that time, then it's made insignificant, and it no longer is something that guides us. Sweet dreams, baby. So Baal is insignificant as far as I'm concerned, but those who follow Baal would say that it is of great significance. Okay. America says it must be difficult to raise kids today anywhere, but especially in a war zone. You know what? Unfortunately, Israel is always in a state of emergency. Israel is also always in some sort of a conflict or skirmish or outright war or conflict. May they all end, right? May war and bloodshed be lifted out of creation. Hey, good for you. Good news. Tell these people Palestine is a British colony, says Rai. Well, it was a British colony. The Brits did not colonize Palestine. The Brits were given a mandate of Palestine after World War I. The Ottomans conquered it. The Brits were the ones who were given a mandate over the land of Palestine and Transjordan in that area. And then they gave, the area of Jordan they made it the Hashemite kingdom, right? The people, they brought people from Saudi Arabia, or around that time, the Hashemite family became the kings. Many Palestinians who lived in Palestine moved to Jordan. Some of them stayed. There are Palestinians who later became Arab Israeli citizens, nearly 2 million of them at last count, if not a little bit more. But no, Palestine is not a British colony. It was never a British colony. There was a British mandate in Palestine, and it ended, and then Israel, right, basically was declared a state, and we fought a war of independence, a defensive war, mind you. HN is awesome, says James Bong, even if he eats grass instead of smokes it. Yes, thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. I really do. Robert Harrison is here. Tolstoy is here. Hashir is here saying, free Palestine, I agree. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from the bloodthirsty terrorist regimes that claim to govern their people but actually oppress them brutally and rule with an iron fist. Ay, ay, ay. What about Nakba, says Farhan. Well, Nakba is something that happened. They call it a travesty, a Holocaust. But the only Holocaust that actually happened as far as the Arabs and Muslims are concerned is that Israel wasn't eradicated. You don't get to start a war and then claim it's a Holocaust when you lose. That's the bottom line. But Israel is definitely not without fault. Israel is definitely not without blame. There are things we need to do better. Our government, our army, the establishment needs to do better. Osorio says, do you think the Romes should have their own country too? They were also a major victim of the Holocaust. The Romes? Who are the Romes? I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Dumb it down for me. I'm not sure what you mean. Do you have long hair to hide your horns, says Enrev. No, my horns are clearly visible. They just point down. So, no. I have long hair because I'm a Nazarite, and a Nazarite man or woman, they basically grow their hair wild, as it says in the Book of Numbers. Okay, let's continue. You're very well spoken, says Kenny. You should be doing something else with speaking to people or something other than what you're doing. Do you have any suggestions? I mean, I'm a writer by trade. That's what I do. That's my day job. But I'm doing this because I love conversing with people, and I like not debating necessarily. I'm not here to debate, change people's minds, and alter their views. We're just here to have conversations. I love conversing with people. I love engaging with people live. It's raw and it's awesome. But I thank you. What is your occupation? Asks Spark. I'm a writer. That's what I do. Invincible says, I have an important question. Can you eat the tip? Can you eat the tip better than the rabbi? I'm not sure what you mean by eat the tip, but could you dumb it down for me a little bit? Again, I'm ignorant. You'll have to explain it to me like I'm 5. America First says, these trolls are in the wrong chat. They get destroyed every time. Go troll Tal Oren instead. No, by all means, stick around. I don't claim to destroy anybody. For some trolls, I become trollish as well, and it's nice to troll the trolls. I like doing that. Why do you keep ignoring the synagogue of Satan questions, says Anon? I don't ignore. Listen, there are over 100 people in this chat right now. I'm not ignoring any questions. I address a question, I look at the laptop, and then I read one from there. If you do have something that you think I didn't get to your chat, I'm ignoring you, I'm filtering you, I'm banning you, I'm a coward, whatever, leave a comment. I address every single comment that is addressed to me. As for the synagogue of Satan question, that belongs in the New Testament, and I don't follow the New Testament. So if you want to say that the modern day Jews are the synagogue of Satan, that they're fake, that they're not real, they're not the originals, they are colonial settlers, they are Khazars, they are Europeans, it all goes whoop right over my head. I don't care at all for that type of questioning because it means absolutely nothing to me. People can claim whatever they want. They can claim that I'm fake. They can claim that I'm this or that. I should go back to Europe. Okay, whatever you say, it's all good. Let's continue. You're a Khazarian Jew, yes? See what I'm saying? Kith Kanan. Let's see. Am I a Khazarian Jew? No, I don't think I am a Khazarian Jew. I am a simple Hebrew man in Jerusalem. That's all that I am. And even if we grant that proposition, which has been debunked billions of times, and say that the people of Khazar, the Khazarian kingdom, converted to Judaism, that makes them 100% Jewish, even if they were all converts. Why your hair isn't well combed, says AJ, because the Nazarite is not allowed to use a comb, the Nazarite is not allowed to use a brush, the Nazarite is allowed to use fingers, right, the hand, but I don't use that either to separate. Occasionally I do, but usually I just let it grow wild. The David Alexander says, you look like a magical teacher, love it. Well, I'm not magical or a teacher, I'm just here having conversations, talking to people. It's funny, and it's fun. Bro, you will look awesome if you comb your hair. My suggestion. I appreciate the suggestion, AJ. I won't be following up on it, but I do appreciate the suggestion. Did you steal Your house, poor Palestinian family, says Sid Life. No, this place was actually no man's land until after 1967. This neighborhood that I'm in was only built up after 1967, so I didn't steal any home from any Palestinian family. And yes, I agree, poor Palestinian families. I mourn for the innocent people dying, and I hope that the Palestinian people who are stuck between a rock and a hard place, between the IDF and the terrorist organizations, will be able to rise up, overthrow their horrible terrorist regime of a government, and be free and make peace. You never brush your hair, Elizabeth says. Nope, I haven't brushed my hair in about just over 15 years. Cute shirt, says Umbra. Would you practice the occult or consider investing in the esoteric? Well, I am a student of the esoteric Torah, right, the Hebrew side, but the occult is not something that I have anything to do with, and I don't know much of it. And I think that the esoteric Torah is enough for me. What God forbids you from combing your hair? Satan, says Sid Life. Okay, feel free to say that. Yes, I am a Satan worshiper. Ah! Satan was revealed to me and he said, Jonathan, don't comb your hair. Don't brush your hair. Let it grow wild. That way people will know you worship only me. Yes. What is your opinion of Netanyahu? That he's got to go. That's it. Do you drink wine? No, I don't. I don't drink wine. I don't eat grapes or raisins. I don't partake of any wine vinegar. I don't drink any alcohol, actually, even though alcohol of other types of grains and spirits, is allowed, but I stopped doing that either. Tiki says, I appreciate you and your conviction and your beliefs. I wish more would be true to their own. I mean, let me put it this way. I'm also still in the process. I'm also still fallen, still a sinner. My convictions and my beliefs are malleable to some degree. I, by all means, push back. By all means, challenge me. Fact check me. And we will be able to have a discussion. In deep read of books, says Robinson. Not sure what you mean. Okay. Captain Cajun says, y'all hate on Jewish people, but they are very smart and talented. Don't be jealous. Make your culture and families better. Some people just hate on Jews on general principle, and that's a given because it's always existed. But as for you can find smart and talented people in any civilization, in any faith, in any type of country or state. They're all always smart and talented people. As for make your own culture and families better, I agree. Start with yourself. Try to live a better life. Try to right your wrongs and live in humility and righteousness. Do people still do the Nazarite vow, and is that why your hair is long? Asks Jam. Yes. People do still carry out the Nazarite vow. I've met with a few of them here in Jerusalem. I've spoken to a few of them online. Ironically, many people who carry out the Nazarite vow these days are Christian. The Naziriteship originally does not belong to Christians, but to the Hebrew people. That's what it says in the book of Numbers. It says, speak to the children of Israel. Now, I always say this. If somebody who's not a Hebrew man or woman takes on a vow, in earnest, a real true vow before themselves and their God, that still has meaning. And what doesn't apply to them are the rules of the Naziriteship. What doesn't apply to them are the halachas, the rabbinic law, and the rules, the regulations to do with the Naziriteship. That is to the Hebrew people who keep it. But otherwise, people are free to make vows. People are free to have promises and pacts and covenants, and I'm not gatekeeping anything. All right. Do you wash your hair? Yes, I do. I wash my hair regularly as Elizabeth. I just don't comb or brush it. America First says, do you think Shin Bet or Security Chief Ben Geri have you under surveillance? No, but I'm just one little dude here. I'm just a regular Joe civilian. So I don't know what Shin Bet or the security organizations in Israel are doing. I don't think I've popped up on any of their screens for any reason, but maybe. I have no idea. Umbra says, thank you for answering. Can you share any spiritual experiences or personal insight? Would love to hear about your spiritual experience. I share them regularly on this channel. I have like over 700 or 600 videos. A few hundred of them are live streams already. So, and I share things all the time. Ask a specific question and I'll give you a specific answer, or address it anyway. But as for personal insight, humility. Start with yourself. Being humble, and acting in humility is the key to all positive traits and all good personality attributes. And it can bring about a ton of good things into your life and the lives of others. Hugh there says, Putz, hey Putz, how long have you been growing your locks? 15 years. 15 years or so. All right, let's see, do this. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Black tea, squeeze of lemon. Oh, so good. Leave a like for this good man. Captain Cajun says, thanks, I appreciate it. All hair is dead, Ryan Black. Yes, it's true. The only thing that is alive is the root, right? The follicles are alive. The rest of the hair is dead keratin, right? It's just dead protein. That's all that it is. The thing is that the living root, right, speaks of the higher crown, the place that is the highest point in the human being. And the hair that grows out represents the divine revelation coming from the highest possible place, down low as it can go, reaching from top to bottom, through and through. Now, you don't need to have hair to be a Nazarite. You can be bald as a cue ball and take a Nazarite's vow. The Torah says if you do have hair, grow it out. That's all that it says. Double the screen. He is a good man. Approved. Double the screen. What do you mean double the screen? I'm curious. Christy says, stop telling untruths about Palestine. God gave them a large land that has been stolen over millennia. Really? There were Palestinians over millennia? No, there were people living in what was then still the Roman province, let's say called, right, the Roman province of Syria Palestina. The only reason why the Romans called it that is to make the Jews forget about Judea. Didn't work out for them, but that's pretty much it. As for God giving them anything, I don't think God gave the land to anybody. I think we are stewards and caretakers of this land that goes back to Eden. Nothing to do with Jews, Gentiles, Arabs, Muslims, Palestinians, Jews, whatever. Human beings are the stewards of this planet. We are the caretakers of this planet. We have dominion, but it's something we also need to earn, and it's a responsibility and a burden that we need to carry. So I don't think God gave the land to the Israelites, and I don't think God gave the land to the Palestinians. I think maybe we rent our time here, right? We are stewards and caretakers, but it's not ours. We have no ownership of it, really. Creation belongs to the Creator, first and foremost. The Torah is very clear about this. If you Hebrew people don't keep the Hebrew Torah, don't carry out the covenant and the commandments therein, you will be kicked out. You'll make your way back, but you will be kicked out. So do it right. You chose Barbarous over your best bro, Rise Bro says. Yes, you know what? The New Testament says that the Romans gave them a choice and they freed the other dude and not Jesus. And were I around at the time, maybe I would have chosen to free Jesus. But according to the New Testament, that's the way it went down. That's the way it went down. Double tap the screen. Oh, I see. Double screen. Double tap the screen. That's what you mean. Gotcha. Thanks, Sid Life. I appreciate it. Am Yisrael Chai says, Avi Alpaim. Shavua Tov, Avi. Have a good week. Who is the creator and where is your proof? I have no proof whatsoever. There is no question of proving or disproving. You can't prove something. Proof means to think it through logically. Proof means to give a proper argument to the existence of God or a deity or the divine. But I don't have any of that, nor do I claim to have that. I don't claim that I know the right thing and I have truth and I have wisdom and only blah, 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 blah. No, that's vanity and pride, and I want to keep away from vanity and pride. Let's continue. Der Bean Boss says, Jews brought only the Son of God to death, Jesus Christ. This was your biggest mistake. Yes, many, many, many Christians and followers of Yeshua claim this, and I'm saying, okay, good for you. Go with that. Thank you, says Umbra. My personal question is, can you explain the Godhead in your own understanding? Thank you much. So look, the divine in the Hebrew faith is unknowable, untouchable, unthinkable, unfathomable. There's nothing that I can say or do or feel or state or speak. If I can conceive it, if I can speak of it, if I can feel it, if I know anything of it, it is already by definition not God, but revelations of God. Revelations are many and infinite. But if you're talking about the Godhead, there is no such thing in the Hebrew faith. We have divine revelation through the 10 Sfirot, the Kabbalistic tree of life. That is the essence of God's revelation. The divine emanations and influence, the relationships between them is what we call, right, Yod He Vav He, Adonai, or El, or Elyon, right? But God has many names. God has many revelations. The entirety of the Torah is different divine names stringed together, says the Zohar. So it's not my own understanding. My own understanding is that I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. So all I will ever know as a lowly creation is revelations of the Most High. Never ever will I know God. Okay. Why Israel flag is almost identical to historical state Karamanogulan? I have no idea. Unknown trailers. I didn't know of such a state. And it could be that the flag really is reminiscent. I know that they made the flag, the Zionist Congress made the flag based on the talis, right, the prayer shawl, and based on the traditional symbol of the seal of David, right, the Star of David, the Magen David. Shabbat Shalom, brother, says Vanguard. Shabbat Shalom to you. It's not Shabbat here anymore. Shavua Tov, good week, but it's Shabbat for many, many others still. All right, let's continue. Can you bring up any key arguments against Jesus as the Messiah? 0419 says. Oh, no, I believe that Jesus could Jesus could very well have been the Messiah. I don't mind. But he died. And when he died, that's it. We don't follow dead kings. We follow living kings. And even if you claim that he was resurrected and ascended, which I'm also willing to say, okay, let's say that happened, he's still not the proper Hebrew anointed king Messiah. That's it. But I have no problem with Jesus being the Messiah until he died. For all I know, maybe I would have followed him at the time if, I would have been happy to call him rabbi. I don't know. So I have no arguments against Jesus being the Messiah. I have arguments against Jesus being the God, right? An actual God in human form. There's no such thing in the Torah. Other than that, it's open to discussion. Why are all your people look fucking impressed? Richard says, I'm not sure what you mean by all your people. I have no people. I have people here in this house, my family, and they're I don't think they're too impressed with me. Sometimes, maybe, but, I'm just a dude. Do you think the religious Jews should be made to enlist in the IDF? Well, first of all, religious Jews do enlist in the IDF. I joined the IDF with a kippah on my head and long side curls. So religious Jews do join the IDF. Do I think they should be made to enlist? I think that they should be given a choice of IDF service or national service, but there should be no other choice of no service whatsoever. What I do think is that we need, let's say, 100, 1,000, maybe 10,000 people, not even 10,000, but a certain core group of people who sit and study, because Torah has immense value. Torah can save, Torah can protect. Torah is a pillar and a foundation of the Hebrew people and of the Hebrew land, right? And so I do agree that there ought to be a certain amount of people that are exempt of military service and national service, and they should devote themselves to Torah. But to say that, so many thousands of people are simply exempt from service, that's spitting in the face of so many who have lived and have died and have served, myself included. I served until a few years ago when I was discharged from reserve duty. Some say Hebrew is mad up. Originally, it was a prayer chant. Oh, made up. No, Hebrew is not made up, trailer shift. It can trace itself back thousands of years. What happened is that when we were in survival mode in exile, then Hebrew was relegated usually to either learning Torah or speaking certain prayers, right, and blessings. And other languages were spoke. That's why it's called the Holy Tongue, Lashon HaKodesh. But modern-day Hebrew is spoken. The thing is that for a long time it was just in survival mode, until the beginning of the 20th century when it made a great comeback thanks to Eliezer ben Yehuda and others of his type. Nick says, I respect you for the answer. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. Therefore, you follow just the Torah, not the Talmud, correct? No, I'm not a Talmudic scholar, nor do I follow rabbinic law strictly, but I grew up Orthodox in Jerusalem, and I followed strict rabbinic law for many years. So I do follow certain facets of the Talmud, but I don't see it as authoritative as the Torah. What I am saying is that we have the written Torah and the oral Torah. The oral Torah was meant to remain oral, and it's only due to tragedy and exile and destruction that it had to be written down. So on the one hand, like I said, survival mode in exile, so it had to be written down. But it's not initially what the Talmud was supposed to be, not the Talmud and not the Mishnah that preceded it. But I do follow certain facets of the Talmud. I just don't follow it to the T like I used to, because certain things in rabbinic law do not align with what I think I ought to be doing. And that is to my detriment at times. And it's dangerous to do such a thing. But I felt I had to veer off the path of Jewish orthodoxy and take on something of my own, with all of the detriments and all of the dangers and all of the pitfalls that are part of that, right? And there are. And it's a dangerous thing that I'm doing, but I had to do it. Have you had your rabies vaccine? Camp Thin. I don't think I have. I think maybe I should if something happens, but I haven't been bitten by a rabid animal, so no. I have not had the rabies vaccine, no. What's your take on Islam? That I don't know Islam. All I know is Islam through terrorism and war, which is probably not Islam at all. Do you consider yourself worshipping the same God? Again, I don't know enough about Islam to answer. Rami Hani Barak. What's your take on Kroger Muhammad? I don't know what that means. Do you consider him as a prophet? I don't know who Kroger Muhammad is, so I have no idea how to answer that. How do your people control the weather, Alex J.J. Green? All right, asking the big questions here. We don't control the weather. However, maybe there are some people who, through manipulating the Hebrew letters, they can make certain things happen and bend the laws of nature. Maybe they can control the weather. So if there are people who control the weather and who do it in a kosher way, it's done by manipulating the Hebrew letters and invoking certain names of God in thought or in word, depending on the case. Pretty much. Going down in the chat. Guy cherry picks, of course, clip collector. I'm a cherry picker. I cherry pick everything and I make no apology. I cherry pick everything. That's it. I just hope to pick the good, ripe, sweet cherries and not, not throw the baby out with the bathwater, because that would be the other option. But of course I cherry pick. Eric says, yo, can you shout out my ice cream truck? It's called Ice Wallow. Come, thanks. All right, so he wants me to say, I swallow cum. All right, let me say this properly. Okay? I swallow cum. Feel free to clip that. You want me to do it again, a bit slower? Okay, check it out. I swallow cum. There you go, and now you can clip it. Are missiles getting through the dome, OP Yellowbird says. Sometimes they do. Most of the time they don't, thank God for that. If you guys control the world like some people say, how can I join, says Ricky Hearn. Well, you can convert. I don't recommend it, but by all means you can convert. Clip that, says Alex. Indeed, you better clip it. Those cherries were promised to him 3,000 years ago. No, it was 5,000 years ago, but yes, they were. Those great, great, great cherries. Are you Yemeni? No, I'm not Yemenite, Abdul. I'm just a simple Hebrew man here in Jerusalem. You are changing real Torah, says Muhammad. Really, how am I changing real Torah? Please tell me. I'd love to know. How am I changing the Torah? Are you a Jew by religion or by tribe? Tug you me, Anthony. I'm a Jew by biology and by faith, by religion and by tribe. But the tribe that I am is not Yehuda, it's Levi. I'm a Levite by tradition. How do you feel about Netanyahu? That he needs to go. I say that every time. Okay, says 04, but the Talmud contains several passages that many scholars believe refer to Yeshu, a name frequently associated with Jesus of Nazareth, typically in a derogatory context that contests his status. Yes, that is correct. They say there is one opinion, or there are a few opinions on Jesus. It has not been conclusively proven that Yeshu HaNotzri, that is spoken of in the Talmud, is indeed Jesus of Nazareth, that Christians follow as living God. But let's grant that proposition. That was not made actually into rabbinic law, meaning it's not a commandment or a law to believe that Jesus is boiling in burning excrement in hell. First, Jews have no hell. But second of all, even if we have a kind of purgatory, but that's beside the point, I don't think that Jesus is burning in a pit of shit. So if that's what you're going for, it's no good. I don't believe that. But some people do. It's not law. You don't have to believe that. Okay, let's continue. Why do Jews hate Christians when it's them that killed the Messiah, says El Chapo? Well, I don't hate Christians, but I think that those who do, probably it harkens back to an old bitterness between Christians and Jews throughout the generations, throughout all of history. There have been many times where Christians massacred Jews. Usually, there was no Jewish massacre of Christians. It was never the other way around. So I think that's kind of what that's about. How come Israel never had a Mizrahi prime minister, asks Abdul. That's a very good question, because he wasn't voted in. That's literally the case. It was not voted in. You are not from the tribe of Levi, says Ambrose. Really? Can you prove that? I'm not saying I can prove it. I'm saying that's the tradition of my family. Our tradition is very ancient. It goes back thousands of years. If you have something to contest that, by all means do. Show me my family tree. If I'm not from the tribe of Levi, then I'm from the tribe of Judah or Benjamin, because those are the three tribes that were the remnants of that made up the kingdom of Judah, right? The 10 lost tribes were lost, parts of Levi as well. Parts of Levi, Judah, and Benjamin are the kingdom of Judah, and I am a Jew, the remnants of the remnants of the remnants of the kingdom of Judah. So if you're going to say I'm not from Levi, by all means, go for it. Show me proof. Okay. The tribe of Levi was destroyed in 70 AD, says Ruud Gista. Rudy? No, that's false. The Jews were exiled after the destruction of the temple by the Romans. This is true. But again, the Jews, the kingdom of Judah, survives. These are the modern day Jews. There are people from other tribes, right, who are making their appearance and coming back into the fold. But the people, right, the Hebrew people, the Jews, the remnants of the kingdom of Judah, they were not destroyed, they were exiled. Obviously, many priests and Levites of the tribe of Levi were destroyed by the Romans, so were many of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. But we are still here. We have survived all of the exiles. We're coming back from the diaspora. So whether you'd like to agree with it or not, that's irrelevant. History is against you on that. Let's continue. So many simple questions today in the chat, HN Bong says. Yes, I mean, who's to say what's simple? Some of these are complicated, and maybe I'm just giving smart-ass answers to smart-ass comments, but who knows? How can I make aliyah, says you truckin' nerd. You'll have to ask your local consulate. I have no idea of your status and what you would be, a student visa or working visa. Are you Jewish? So those are the ways primarily through which you can make aliyah. Torah says no state for the Jews. No, the Torah says that there is a country for the Jews. It's the country that was called Canaan, and later we took it over. Joshua and the Israeli army took it over, and then it was called Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. And then after the kingdom split, there was the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, right? The kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. The kingdom of Israel was exiled by Assyria. The kingdom of Judah was exiled later by Babylon and later by the Romans. And we are still here. Despite the Babylonian and Roman empires having fallen, the Hebrews, like the little roaches that we are still here. Nyeh, taking your money. What about the Noahide laws? So Silber Marana. See, here's the thing. With the Noahide laws, I could take it or leave it. I understand those who say that it's mandatory for all the Gentiles to take on the 7 Noahide laws. And I understand those who say, no. Those, the Gentiles, the nations, are free to worship whatever they want. And it's only in the place, in the kingdom, let's say, of Israel, in the geographical land of Israel, where that sort of thing would not be permissible. So I could take it or leave it. It depends. But first of all, right, first and foremost, I think be a good person, live life with righteousness and with humility. That is the key to all good things. Glitch says, the problem isn't the land or name Israel. The problem is apartheid. Well, there are 2 million Arabs living here. How is that apartheid? They have the same rights. They have the same sort of life here. There are people in industry, in medicine, science, the arts that are Arabs, that are Muslims, that have a Palestinian identity and an Israeli identity. About 2 million of them. How is that apartheid? Signs everywhere in Hebrew and Arabic and English. Everywhere. Did you like what Adolf Hitler did to the Jews? No, I don't like what he did to the Jews or the gypsies or the homosexuals or the disabled people. And why are you doing it to the Palestinians? See, once again, Hitler sought world domination and an Aryan race to take over everyone. He had this idea of supremacy, and I don't have that. So I can't speak for all of Israel. I can speak only for myself, and I do a piss poor job at that. But what I will say is that I don't think I'm supreme, better, more knowledgeable, or more important than anyone ever. I'm just a lowly individual here in Jerusalem trying to have conversations with people. So if you're going to pin your anti-Semitic comments on me, you're barking up the wrong tree. Let's continue. What's your view on Javier Milei, says Abel. I don't know who Javier Milei is, unfortunately, so I have no idea. God is a bad guy. Hey, Stinky Farter, good to see you again. God is a bad guy. Y'all just can't remember being shocked by him. No, I would say that, again, I don't know God. All I know is that there are revelations of God being revealed to me, right, in creation. One of those revelations can be considered or perceived as evil or wicked or bad, judgment, wrath, vengeance, and all of that. But that is only one facet of the divine that we as human beings here perceive in this world of good and evil. And the higher you climb in the hierarchy of revelation, the more it goes up to the root, like a triangle, right? Where there's duality at the base, but there's unity at the root. What do you think of hamburgers, says Zechariah? I mean, I'm vegan, so I haven't had a hamburger in a very long time. And I'm also, even before I was vegan, I was a kosher Jew, meaning that I did not eat an actual ham burger. But, because I never tasted pork, any pig product. But I'm a fan. I'm a fan of vegan burgers. I mean, I'm a fan of Wonder Burgers and Beyond Burgers. I love those. I really do. Let's continue. The president of Argentina. Javier Milei, the president. That's right. He's the president of Argentina. Well, I don't know his platform, his politics, or his, foreign or local policies. I know that he's done some things that were quite revolutionary. I know that he claims, or did claim at the time, to be a friend of Israel, but I have no idea. I don't know enough about him to have an actual opinion that's valid in any way. Hey, Richard gave 5. Is it pounds? I think it's pounds. Well, listen, the money that you get, I got the tax thing. I got the tax information done this week with Google and AdSense and YouTube and whatnot. So you people have raised over 3,000 shekel. That's over $800 or so. It's closer to it's over $1,000 already. It will all go to charity. I will be as transparent, as I've said before, as I can. I will be as transparent as I can. I'll show you the analytics. I'll show you my bank account. I'll show you what comes in. I'll have a poll on where you think I should be giving the money to, whether to disperse it, in a few different locations or to one place. I want to contribute to a local charity, but I'll hear your input and you'll tell me where I should give it to. So, according to YouTube, the money should be in my bank account. It's now the 11th. Money, from what I've gathered, I haven't been paid yet by YouTube ever. The channel was only monetized a short while ago. So, YouTube says that payments are made into the individual's bank account between the 27th and towards the end of the month. So, in a couple of weeks or so, in like 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be able to show you and we'll have a conversation on where this money should go. I mean, this money and future money that might come in. But thanks, I appreciate it. So yeah, I'm not keeping any of the money. It will all go to charity, God willing. And like I said, if for some reason there's a brand deal or a sponsorship that comes through, I will be keeping that money and giving a tithe. But any money from super chats, super thanks, or any kind of donation through YouTube, I want to give 100% of that away to the best of my ability. Okay, Muhammad says, according to Torah, prophet came from Ibrahim, and Muhammad is also generation of Ibrahim. He is final prophet. No, that doesn't say that at all. It says that Abraham was a prophet, and it's Avram. Even before he was Avraham, he was Avram, Abram, and it says that he was a prophet. It's the first time that the word prophet is mentioned in the Torah. It is in relation to Abraham. However, prophets exist throughout the entire generation, and even to this day, the spirit of prophecy, they say, was taken away from Israel during the destruction of the Second Temple or around thereof, and given to children and fools. That's what it says in the external teachings. But the spirit of prophecy is poised to make a comeback any day now to Israel and to the nations, and that will be very good. God will pour His Spirit upon all flesh, as it says in the book of Yoel. So I understand why Muslims stick to, Abraham and Ishmael and Muhammad came from Ishmael and that whole thing. Sure, for you that might be good. For you he was a prophet. For you he was a final prophet with the final revelation and the final book. There is no finality of revelation in the Torah. It's an ongoing, evolving, continuing, progressing thing. So Muslims can feel free to think whatever they want. That doesn't apply to the Hebrew man or woman. That's what I'm saying. Let's give the money to families in Palestine, says Clash. Yes, that is going to be an option. Like I said, I'm going to have a poll. I won't necessarily go exactly with what gets the most likes or I don't know what, but because I may decide, to disperse it and spread it out. I don't know. I mean, this month, other months, I don't know how it will go down, like I said, but I will be taking your input into account for sure. I would want to donate locally. That is also for sure. JX says, if I convert, will you support me starting my own settlement in the West Bank because Jews are entitled to that land? I will support it if it's land that is not contested. I will support it if it's legal. I will not support it if it is illegal, and then you pass a law to make it legal. That's the kind of settlement that I say, no, that should not be. That's illegal. That can actually be considered stolen land if it wasn't theirs to take. I don't like that, which is why there are certain fringe settlements in the West Bank and probably other places where I go, no, that's not cool. Don't do that. Don't settle a place and then pass the law. If you want to make it legitimate, if you want to make it legal, do it properly through the proper channels, then settle it. Doing it the other way around has some security advantages, has some strategic advantages, of course, but if you're going to talk about the illegality of it, there are certain settlements that are illegal, like locally, internationally, and only then are laws passed, I think, in order to sort of make it legal retroactively. That's the type of thing where I go, no, that's not kosher, that's not cool, that I would not support. That's what I'm saying. Piss, hey Piss, good to see you. Did you run out of silly hats, or are you not feeling silly today? Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I am feeling silly today, but I did not run out of silly hats. I think I have one or two that I have not worn yet. And you're right. Next live stream, I should wear another silly hat. Gimme says, yesterday on a live stream, I heard you verbalize the name Yod-Heh Vav-Heh. I'm not Jewish, so forgive my ignorance, but don't Jews usually replace that name with Adonai, Elohim, etc.? Yes, I said it because somebody else said it. I was reading their question. I do verbalize it as Adonai. Yod-Heh Vav-Heh is seen and not spoken. I was reading it. Also, I did not say it in the Hebrew. What I said was Jehovah. That's what was written there. That is not exactly what is written there in the Hebrew. So I can get away with that. I have not yet spoken the name as it is written with the punctuation that it is written in traditionally, right? With the cheshek, cholam kamatz shva, or cholam shva kamatz. So yes, Jews don't utter that name usually. They do replace that name with other names. The name of Yod-Heh Vav-Heh has different ways of punctuation. It can be spelled like that, and that's Adonai, right? Yod-Heh Vav-Heh is the male, like the masculine divine presence, and the name Adonai, Adnut, is the feminine divine presence. And when you see that name but speak another, you are bringing unity to the divine feminine presence. That is what that is about. As for Elohim, that also has different ways that correspond to different divine revelations, from the great mother to the daughter. But it's usually the feminine presence that is Elohim as well. What do you think of Ben Gvir, says Spider-Man? I think that I don't know enough about his policies to say anything about him. I've heard him say things that were not cool, and I don't follow him. I wouldn't vote for him. So what do I think of him? I don't know enough about him. I don't follow the politics. I don't follow the news. I don't know a lot about what's going on. I think politics is a dirty, dirty game, and I am loath to be part of it. I really, really am. But when the next election comes around, I'll have to see what I do. And I'm probably going to vote for the first time, as I said, in 20 years, because some things need to change in this country. Historically, says Malik, Jews were protected by the Muslim empires. That's true. There were caliphates that treated the Jews with a lot of respect as the people of the book. Gave them lands to live when Christians exiled them. Please comment on this. Secondly, do you call yourself a Zionist? Yes, I am a biblical Zionist and a modern-day Zionist, but I don't excuse horrible things that people do in the name of Zionism. And I think that's an abhorrent thing, and I condemn them, and I condemn their actions. But I am indeed a Zionist, but I don't think that that means that we need to kick people out, right? It just means that Jews go back to Judea. Jews go back, Israelites go back to Israel. The people of the Hebrew, right? The Hebrew people go back to the Hebrew land. So, as for the caliphates and the different Muslim empires, yes, they did. There's many of them, some of them, for hundreds of years, treated the Jews with relative respect. They charged them a skull tax, right? They charged them an extra tax, but that's a common thing in Islam, right? A jizya. They were dhimmis, right? Second or third class citizens. But they did indeed protect them, and they did treat them with relative respect, allowed them freedom of religion and worship and rituals and whatnot, and that was very, very good. Yeah, for a long time, Muslims and Jews prospered side by side. The Mizrahi Jews, until the establishment of the State of Israel, or at least, until the later centuries, for hundreds and hundreds of years, they lived relatively okay. There was, I think, the occasional bad blood, but overall, you are correct, Malik. Indeed, historically, they were protected by certain Muslim Jews. Certain Muslims did protect the Jews, and certain caliphates and empires did protect the Jews. That is correct. A Jew with dreads? I've seen it all. Well, Bailey Bishop, good for you if you've seen it all. That's pretty cool. How does it feel to see it all? Anthony says, I don't support Israel, nor do I support Palestine. It's both sides that are at fault. I agree. Both sides are at fault. We need to make peace. Our leaders need to make peace. Both of us are not blameless. Both of us are not without fault. We are both indeed at fault. That is true. I sincerely hope people make the choice to be nice to one another. Bye-bye, says Daniel. Yes, to be nice. You know what? I take that back. Don't be nice. Be kind. You don't want to be a nice guy. You don't want to be a nice gal. You want to be kind. You want to be open-hearted. You don't want to be nice. Being nice can turn you into a doormat. Don't be nice. Be kind. There's a big difference there. Okay, let's continue. What made you choose Zionism over Judaism, Christianity, or Islam? TRT says. Well, Zionism is not a religion or a faith. Zionism is the idea of Jews going back to the Jewish homeland. So I didn't choose it over Judaism. I am a Jew. I'm a Hebrew man who's also a Zionist. But like I said, I don't excuse what people do in the name of Zionism if it's evil and heinous and horrible and atrocious. Let's continue. Hamas is at fault, not Palestine. Yeah, you know, the innocent, and there are many innocent people in the West Bank. There are many innocent people in Gaza, stuck between a rock and a hard place. As I say, they are not at fault, but they did, many years ago, elect Hamas democratically. You know what I'm saying? After the unilateral pullout from Gaza, the disengagement of 2005, they destroyed everything that Israel left them there, all the greenhouses and the infrastructure. They elected Hamas to be their leader. There has been no second election because Hamas is a dictatorship, an extremist, religious, bloodthirsty, warmongering, oppressive leadership that rules its people with an iron fist and that eradicated Fatah when it was fighting against them for supremacy and for leadership. So, that kind of tells you something about them. No race is chosen in front of God. Everyone is equal. I agree, Havedex. I agree. Everyone is equal. We are chosen for specific tasks. The people of Israel were chosen for a specific task, and other nations were chosen for a different task. It's not a question of supremacy or being better or more important or being chosen. I think that chosen people rhetoric is not good. It can lead to, like I say many times, pride and vanity, and to the downfall, right? And if you're going to say that you're chosen, you better back it up. Otherwise, it's just false, virtue signaling and pride, and that's not good. Definitely not good. Been great listening. Have a good day. Mark McAfee says, thank you, man. It's good to be heard, and it's good to converse with you good people. What religion are you a part of? I am a Hebrew man of the Hebrew religion. That's what I am, pretty much. All right, on that note, it's been almost an hour. I'm going to take a quick aside to say thank you, good people, those watching now, those watching later. I really appreciate the views and the likes and the subs and the hate and the spam and the trolls. It's so much fun to engage with you. It's so much fun to address your questions. Incidentally, if I didn't get to your question in the chat or your comment or your insult or your tidbit of wisdom, whatever it is, leave a comment. I address every single comment that is addressed to me. So please, if I didn't get to you in the chat, don't take offense. It's not personal. I'm not ignoring you or banning you or filtering you or censoring you. It's an open. I have no mods. I don't kick anybody out. It's an open platform to the degree that YouTube allows. So, yeah, let's continue. Baruch haba Hashem Adonai, says Mark. Well, Baruch haba means welcome. The name means, Hashem means the name. So I'm thinking what you mean is Baruch haba Beshem, in the name of. Yes, that's from the Psalms. Baruch haba Beshem Adonai, berachnuchem mi beit Adonai. That is from the Psalms. Can you check your ancestry? You are from the tribe of some European. Havdex says, I can check my ancestry. I'm not inclined to do so. I have no reason to do so. Maybe I will one day. But even if we grant that proposition, as I've said many times, and say, yes, that idea is 100% true, I am descendant from Europeans, let's say that I was even a Gentile, a European Gentile until this morning, and this morning I converted, I am now 100% a Jew. So that argument falls apart immediately. The fact that there are Jewish converts to the Hebrew faith, means that there will always be people converting, always be people with different ancestry, always be people who descend down the line from people who were not Jews, bringing new blood and new genetic sequences into the fold. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. There are times when it does mean something. This is not one of those times. So ancestry has its place, but not in the context of these conversations. You need a haircut, says I don't drive FN. Okay, that's Europe. Let me quote the dude here. Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man. No, Nazarites do not cut their hair. That is why I may need a haircut, but will not be partaking of a haircut. My father is Jewish, but my mother is Catholic. Am I a Jew in your worldview, says Pista Boy. Well, you are a biblical Jew, let's say, because it went by the father until the time of Ezra the scribe and the return from Babylon. But you are not a halachic, rabbinic Jew. You are what's called Zera Yisrael, somebody from a Jewish father, but not a Jewish mother. Hence, in my worldview, you would not be a Jew, but if you do practice the Hebrew faith and you have taken on the covenant of Torah and commandments, right? And if you take on the Hebrew God and forsake all of the foreign gods and all the pagan practices or whatever it is you've been doing, then, you're a convert, pretty much. But again, it's a case-by-case basis. And in your case, you're a biblical Jew, at least until the time of Ezra, and then you are not considered Jewish, at least according to halacha. I'm Jewish, Hebrew, and on crack. Is that okay just to chill they, them? Well, it's okay that you're Jewish. It's okay that you're Hebrew. Being on crack is a personal choice. Far be it from me to judge. I'll just say if you're going to engage in any kind of substances or mind-altering, things, do it in measure. And maybe don't do it because crack, I've heard, is very, very addictive, and it can turn you into... it can turn you into a bad dude. It might turn you into a bad guy, along the line. So don't do it. I say don't do it, but I'm not judging you for doing it. Stalin was Jewish. His real name, Yaakov Zugashvili. Well, Shvili are, as far as I know, the different Shvilis are Gruzinian, right? Or from Russia. But okay, Abarua. Okay, Stalin was Jewish. What does that mean? What are you saying? Let's say that Stalin was Jewish. Let's go with that. What do you mean? Will you say Christ is Lord, says Phoenix TY. He's not my Lord. He's Lord to those who follow him as God, Savior, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. He's not my God. As for Christ means the anointed one. If there was a new king who ascended and who was crowned and anointed, I would call him Lord, not in the sense that he is a living God, but in the sense that he is a messenger and an emissary representing the divine revelation known as kingdom or malchut. But if you mean by Lord that he is actually a God incarnate, no. The King of Israel was never, nor will ever be, a God incarnate. No such thing exists in the Torah. So I'm inclined to say no. Wasn't Stalin atheist, Jim Cunningham says. He may have been biologically Jewish. I have no idea. Maybe he was born to a Jewish mother. You can still be an atheist, but be born to a Jewish mother, which makes you an atheist Jew. Whoa, I'm pretty sure, says Eitan, pretty sure I'm supposed to be anti-Semitic right now. You're not supposed to sound so chill. 99% of the other streams I stumble on, it's just insta-bans and anti-everyone else. Well, welcome home, Eitan. I don't ban anybody, nor do I anti-anyone else. I'm having conversations here with people. That's all I'm doing, trying to expand my horizons and widen my perceptions. That's pretty much what I'm doing here, and it's always fun to learn from you people, engage with you good people, and I deeply appreciate it, your time and your attention. I don't take it for granted that I press go live, and there are people here, and it's lovely here, and it's live and raw from Jerusalem, and it's awesome. Just a Chill says, the crack does make me a little bit gay, like it makes me suck D sometimes, but it's okay mostly. Well, look, again, no judgment on my end. Feel free to do what you want to do. If it makes you feel bad, if after you suck D, as you say, it makes you feel bad inside and causes you to do things that you would not normally do, I say talk to a therapist, because, it could help you to contend with the feelings that you're feeling. As for crack making you a little bit gay, maybe you are a little bit gay and it just brings it out. I don't know if crack could actually turn you gay. Maybe then it would be called gay and not crack. Anthony says, imagine how long it's been since that hair's been thoroughly cleaned. If a religion says I can keep my hair clean, then I think I'll need a new invisible guy in the sky to talk to in my head. Well, Anthony, you can clean the hair thoroughly. For a very long time, I used a baking soda rinse and apple cider vinegar wash, and that was very awesome, and it really cleaned the scalp. Are there places inside of, let's say, like this thick Congo that are unclean? Likely. But throughout my entire time when I was growing out the hair, and it's been like 17 years, 15 years under the vow, and a couple of years before that where I was just growing my hair because I like long hair, I did take the time to keep my hair as clean as possible because the Torah also says take care of your body, take care of your mind, right? And so I took that to heart, and I tried to do that. Are there places in my hair that are cleaner than others or not as clean as they could be? Likely. But I don't take too much to that. I just keep my hair clean and washed. I use essential oils. I shampoo and condition on a regular basis. And if it's dirty, I clean it right then and there. All I do is grow out my hair. I just don't pull out hair. I don't comb or brush my hair. I just let it grow wild and free. But I do try to keep it clean to the best of my ability. Maybe sometimes not to the best of my ability, because I'm only human. Sometimes I'm lazy. But it doesn't get to a point where it just reeks, stinks, like matted together with crust and dirt and food and piss, or I don't know what. So, yeah. As for a new invisible guy in the sky to talk to, if you want to get a new invisible guy in the sky, by all means, many of them are on sale right now in Temu, I'm sure, and likely on Amazon as well. So, take your pick. Can you speak about the Great Mother, says Umbra? How did mystical Jews achieve the divine androgynous or spiritual unity? I love your spiritual talk. Well, look, God reveals himself, herself, itself, through the 10 sfirot, right? The tree of life as it's known, from crown to kingdom. 10 sfirot. 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. The Great Mother is one of the higher three, which we are connected in the image of God, in the brain, right? The left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, that represents the Great Father and the Great Mother. The torso, right, represents the lower masculine, and the genitals and thereof, and the head of the penis for the male represents the feminine, because we are all feminine in the womb. We are all XX chromosome. Only then, if you're going to be male, there's that Y chromosome that gets pushed in, a boost of testosterone, which turns it from XX to XY. So we are all initially feminine. We are all initially females in utero, and then there's a change. So the androgynous nature of humanity is also there from the womb. Likewise, the divine androgynous is all in revelation. God has no sex. God has no gender. God is not mother, father, bride, or groom. God is unknowable, unthinkable, right? Untouchable. And so, all of the androgynous nature, the masculine, feminine, higher, lower, left, right, center, is all in the way that we perceive the divine. But it's not actually part of the divine. It's all revelations that we can perceive, ways in which we can connect in a way that we can speak of, but we do not make the mistake of embodying God, anthropomorphizing God. It's all divine revelation, emanation, influence. As for achieving spiritual unity, that is what the commandments and the Torah are for. They are for achieving Yichud Kudesh Abrichu Ushchinte, which is Aramaic for unity of the Holy One, blessed be He, masculine, and the divine feminine presence, right? Okay, let's continue. According to Torah, atheists are Amalek. You're wrong. According to Torah, Amalek is Amalek. There is no other Amalek in the Torah. Amalek is a nation. They are a people that started with one individual called Amalek. Reshit Goyim Amalek, that's what it says. And it's a people. Now, some people take this and sort of, in a metaphysical sort of way, and say, oh, no. Anybody who is atheist, for all intents and purposes, is Amalek. Amalek is the legendary, right, antithesis of Israel, the arch nemesis of the Hebrew people. But they don't exist anymore. Nobody knows who actually the people of Amalek are, no more than they know who the Moabites or the Ammonites are anymore. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, some people call people who are anti-Israel Amalek, as in deserving of death, because Amalek is the only actual genocide that we are supposed to still carry out. And I hope that I won't need to carry out that genocide. I really don't want to find out who Amalek is. I don't want to be part of any genocide. Incidentally, as a quick aside, there's no genocide going on now either. The only genocide that's going on now with Israel is against Israel, but I digress. Okay, let's continue. What is your favorite verse in the Torah? The first verse, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. The first verse, I'm a sucker for Genesis, for Bereshit. The first verse encompasses everything inside of it. So I'm a fan of the first verse of the Torah. But other than that, it's probably the love thy neighbor, right? Lo tikom ve'lo titor et bnei amecha ve'ahavta l're'acha kamocha ani Adonai. Right? Don't be vengeful and don't be spiteful. Love thy neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai. I do miss Christopher Hitchens, as do I. That dude had some things right, and he knew how to talk to people. He used to hitch slap people left and right. He said some very smart things. Obviously, Christopher Hitchens and I would not agree on certain things, but generally speaking, I understand his gripe with religion. I understand his gripe with people who were calling themselves religious. I understand. I do, and I love hearing him speak. Jilla, hey Jilla, good to see you again. Hi, I saw a video that they committing 60% of crimes were not integrated in Europe and today own vital industries to people. What do you think such stories succeed and with their stats? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. It doesn't make sense that Jews commit 60% of crimes because we were such a minority and by and large a peaceful people. So I have no idea. As for owning vital industries to people, I think Jews have always been part of different industry, art, medicine, science. They were revolutionaries and they were political leaders. It's like you can find them in all kinds of positions of power and influence and wealth. I don't know why that is, but that seems to be the case. Hype says, what do you think about black Jews? I think they are Jews with black skin. That's where it starts and ends. Israel is not peaceful. Well, I was talking about Jews. You can make the claim that Israel is not peaceful, but then that kind of goes against history. Once again, Israel has over 10 times or so said, hey, Palestinian leadership, you want to make some peace? And the Palestinian leadership said, no, we want all of it. We want all of you gone, all of you dead. We won't take 80%, 90%, 99.9%. We want it all. That's it. We're all in on destroying you people. We will not have peace with you. We will not recognize you. We will not acknowledge that you have a right to exist as a people, as a nation, as a country, as a state. You know who does recognize? Jordan and Egypt, that we have a peace accord with, that we have a peace agreement with. Do you want to know how we got that peace agreement? By kicking their asses in war, unfortunately. They had to surrender completely, and then we could make peace. So I don't want peace to be made that way. I want peace to be made through justice for all sides, through love and embracing our shared humanity on all fronts. But if that's impossible to do it through love, then unfortunately it will have to be through death and suffering and bloodshed. But to say Israel is not peaceful, no, I disagree. Israel is not only peaceful. Obviously, we are a people of war, but only when it's forced upon us. We have not started these wars. We are fighting a defensive campaign, not an offensive campaign. And even if you do grant that proposition and say, oh, yes, you were an offensive people, we gave away Sinai. We gave away Gaza, right? And we wanted to give Gaza to Egypt when we signed the peace accords with them, incidentally, and they didn't want it. So, yeah, let's continue. Jews play victim and then break treaties, says I'm not that guy, PA. Well, again, there's always that card of, oh, Jews are the eternal victims. I don't think I'm playing the victim right now. I'm just spitting the facts of history as it's been laid out before us. So there's that. I'm not claiming we're a victim of anything right now. We are fighting a defensive war. You'd be claiming the same thing if you had a multitude of people around you who wanted to kill you, slaughter your family, and drive you into the sea. As for breaking treaties, I'll remind you that normally, as far as I know, and I'm not privy, to the military decisions, I'm not in the cabinet, I'm not in the war council, I have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. But generally speaking, all of the treaties so far that were achieved were broken by the terrorist organizations of Hamas, Fatah, Hezbollah, Al-Aqsa Brigade, and so on and so forth. And if the Israelis have broken treaties, it may have been, and I'm not excusing it, but I'm saying it was probably, I don't know, likely because of a surmounting threat, right, that was gathering alongside the border. Anyone who is pro-radical Islam is retarded, says the Misk YouTuber. Okay, what is radical Islam? What is actual proper Islam and what is radical Islam? What is mainstream Islam? Hey, Nazarene, says Gu. I'm not Nazarene. Nazarene are people who live in Nazareth, which I don't, or people who follow Jesus in some way or other that call themselves Nazarenes. I am a Nazarite, that is Nazir, not Nazrat. Those are two different things. Can you separate heaven from hell? Well, Jews don't have a heaven or hell in the traditional Christian sense, so yes, I can separate them definitely, but they both coexist here inside of the individual, here in creation and in the higher realms. But both of them are just waiting rooms. Jews have no hell. Jews have no heaven as a final destination. They are both waiting rooms. Okay, let's continue. Y'all are disgraceful and despicable, says Seth. Well, I can't speak for everyone. I am definitely disgraceful and despicable, so thanks. 04 says, in Isaiah foretold that the Messiah would be despised and rejected. Yes, Isaiah 53. Many Christians and followers of Jesus always bring up Isaiah 53. They bring it up always out of context of the chapter and the book of Isaiah as such. Also, all of the prophets, the scrolls and writings point us back to Torah. They are not a law unto themselves. They don't take precedence over Torah. So the Torah says there is no God incarnate. The end. The Torah says we follow the living. The end. We choose life. We're not here to choose death. Do you smoke weed? I'm confused. No, I'm a supporter of marijuana, but I don't partake. I smoked for many years, not insanely. And I'm a fan of the weed, but I don't partake any longer of the weed. Also, always when I speak of substances, set and setting are paramount. Do your due diligence, do your research. Don't engage in any kind of psychedelics or weed if you're if you've got a history of mental illness or whatnot, respect the herb, respect the substance, honor your body, and have the bulk of your psychedelic and spiritual experiences come from within and not from without. But if you do want to supplement that spiritual psychedelic life with something like herb or mushrooms or LSD, MDMA, DMT, go for it. Do it with caution. Do it with discernment. Treat yourself with respect and respect nature or, other substances, even if they are lab-made. Let's continue. Waiting rooms for what, says Gu? So there is a second phase of humanity, right? If you read in Genesis, in the story of creation, there are two trees, or among many others. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, which we partook of, and now we're here in a world of good and evil, and the tree of life, which we have not been privy to yet. We did not partake of it yet. The tree of life was put under guard. The road to it, the path to it was put under guard, but it was never forbidden. That tree of life is what we are aiming for, the great Sabbath, as it's known. So that is what it's a waiting room for. We have a kind of purgatory, and that's a waiting room for Eden, right? We have a lower Eden and a higher Eden, and these are different spiritual realms, right? So you conceptualize them by calling them Eden, higher, lower. You conceptualize them by calling them Gehinnom, which is a kind of purgatory, and it's only up to 12 months. And that's not even in actual space-time. There is no space-time continuum in the higher realms. But we speak in such words and we use such terms to convey spiritual and metaphysical ideas in a way that human beings can converse and discuss, right? In words that the mind and the heart and the ear can perceive. So those are waiting rooms for the next phase of humanity, phase 2. And we are not there yet, but we will partake of the tree of life, God willing, together as a unified human race, embracing each other in our shared humanity. Talk about Kabbalah, please, says Mike. Well, Kabbalah is the study of the tree of life. That's what it is, the study of the 10 Sfirot. Would you like to know about the Kabbalah? Some Kabbalah is kosher, other Kabbalah is not kosher, and it depends on, it depends on what you go with. But for the Hebrew man and woman, there are kosher Kabbalists, there are kosher traditions, and ones which we should not dabble in. What is your favorite psychedelic? I love 2CB. It's a lighthearted LSD. Mushrooms. I'm a fan of psilocybin mushrooms. I don't do it very regularly at all. I do it every now and then, and it's always really, really great. Very revealing, very teaching, highly educational. Look, it's not like I'm saying don't do it ever for recreational use. I understand those who do it recreationally. I have no problem with it. Just don't make it the center of your life. Remember to live your life and supplement your life with psychedelics. Or if you're doing it therapeutically, great things can happen if you do it therapeutically. I haven't. I've heard great things about microdosing. But my favorite psychedelic is probably psilocybin mushrooms, I gotta say. But it's not like I'm such a maven. I haven't done that many psychedelics in my life. Do you ignore people in chat too, says Asim. No, I don't ignore anybody. There are about 140 or so people here in the chat. The chat is moving very rapidly, so I can't get to everything. I see a question on the laptop, and then I address it here. But if I did not address your question or comment or concern or insult or tidbit, it's not because I'm gatekeeping you, banning you, censoring you, ignoring you. It's not because I'm a coward who fears being challenged. I don't shy away from having a difficult conversation. If I didn't get to your thing in the chat, forgiveness, my apologies, leave a comment and I will address it, I guarantee you. Is Kabu kosher? I don't know what Kabu is, so I can't tell you if it's kosher or not. Your hair looks ridiculous and so funny, says Shirin Mohammed. Thanks, man. Check this out. Ah! Yeah, how funny is that? Here, wait. I'll do it like a... Here we go. It's like a noose. See? So many things. Such good times. Yes, my hair is indeed ridiculous and funny. Please laugh at me. Get all of that. Humor is good. Humor is good. And once again, I'll pull the old faithful. Here, laugh. See? It's good to laugh. Okay, let's continue. Have you tried salvia? No, I haven't. I've heard that I shouldn't. I've heard salvia can be really good or really bad. It wears off quickly and leaves you in a daze. That's what I've heard, so I haven't done it yet. No. CGS says, do Jews know they are gaslighting when using hasbara tactics, or do they really believe everything they say as the truth? Love you, bro. Thanks, CJS. Love you too. So much love. I have no idea what other Jews are doing. I'm not spouting hasbara just as a gaslighting technique. I honestly do believe that what I am saying is historical truth. However, which is why I don't exempt Israel from its faults, and I don't claim that Israel is the great paragon of virtue and kindness and righteousness, not yet. It might be in the future if it gets its act together, but right now the government has faults, the establishment has faults, the army definitely has faults, but I'm not a hasbara troll, I'm not being paid by anybody, I'm just spouting my opinion, misguided though it may be, which is why I'm saying, by all means, fact check me, challenge me, push back against me. I've been wrong before, and I've admitted it, and I've highlighted a comment in previous videos, and mentioned it in later videos, that, oh yeah, check that out, that's a place where I was wrong. I thanked the person who enlightened me to certain things that I said that were not correct, and I'm always willing to say, yes, I am ignorant. Teach me, educate me, I'd love to know more, but do it properly. You know what I'm saying? Isn't the tree primordial, so your nature, is it? Or would you call me a snake? I'm not sure what you mean. The tree is a spiritual thing, a metaphysical thing, and a physical thing. It exists on different planes of existence. So if you're talking about, would you call me a snake? I don't know. Do you think you're a snake? I have no idea what you are. All I know is that we live in an age and in a time and a place of good and evil. We live in a world of good and evil. We live in a world of duality, as opposed to the tree of life, which is not life as opposed to death. That's this world. That's life as opposed to death. You live, you die. That's not actual living. Actual living is not as opposed to death or being unborn, but it's something else entirely. Again, phase 2. That's what's called the world to come, Olam Haba. What is your opinion of Zionism, says Zeno Contact, that I don't like what people are doing in the name of it, but I am a fan of it. 4 says, I have dreadslock for decade. 2026 is the first time I saw a Jew with dreads. What is your clan? My clan traditionally is Kehat, of the tribe of Levi, of the people of Israel. That is my clan. But again, I don't have the family tree right here in front of me. It's the tradition that's been passed down in my family, that we are of the clan of Kehat, right? The family of Kehat of the tribe of Levi. But again, maybe that's not the case. Either way, a Jew is a Jew is a Jew. A person of Israel is a person of Israel. So, the different tribes will have their place. They each have their contribution. But right now, we are, as I've said many times, the remnants of the remnants of the remnants of the kingdom of Judah. Shabbat Shalom, says Killian. Shabbat Shalom to you. Shavua Tov. It's not Shabbos here anymore. It was up until about 3 hours ago. Do rabbis sin, says SRAH. I believe all of us sin. The question is, do we get back up? There is no person. There is no righteous person in the land who will do only good and not sin, and not miss the mark. That's what chet, sin, means. Sin in Hebrew is chet. Chet means to miss the mark, right? To go. So, yeah, we all sin. I'm a sinner, but I long and I hope to get my act together and be able to A, sin less, and B, to be able to get up whenever I do sin. Get up and keep trying. Would you take $1,000 to cut your hair and beard? No, I would not take any amount of money, Soros, to cut my hair and beard. Definitely not the hair. The beard, probably not either. I've grown it since I was 17. So parts of it, when I first started to grow it, it was just like a wispy little thing over here, and it's all of this growth is the original growth. I have not shaved it ever. So would I take $1,000? No, I would not take any amount of money to cut the hair. The hair is part of my vow. The vow is for life until the grave. So I won't take any amount of money to cut my hair. The beard, I don't think either, but I guess that's debatable. Sure. Can Jews eat halal? I heard Muslims can eat kosher. Yes, Jilla. Muslims, as far as I know, can eat kosher, but Jews can eat certain types of halal, nothing to do with meat. But I think that essentially no, because the difference in kashrut and halal, it varies. And so Muslims can eat kosher, but Jews who eat kosher cannot eat halal, right? At least when we're talking about the meat. If we're talking about animal products that are not meat, that's a different story. Let's continue. Is Kabbalah taught by Baal HaSulam considered kosher? Good question. Look, Baal HaSulam himself, Rabbi Yehuda Leib HaLevi Ashlag, right? The original Ashlag Kabbalah rabbi, right? The original one was indeed a kosher Kabbalah. His Sulam commentary on the Zohar is known far and wide by many Kabbalists as being a kosher commentary on the Zohar, right? However, his son, Rabbi Baruch Shalom HaLevi Ashlag, From then on, people say, nope, he took his father's teachings and veered away from them. And, people nowadays in the whole B'nai Baruch organization, which I don't know personally, but first of all, I am in their debt. Because B'nai Baruch were the ones that I turned to unknowingly. When I was 15 or 16 years old, one of the first searches I ever did online was Kabbalah.com. I've been a student of the Tree of Life ever since I was 16. And one of the first things I did online when we first got internet in my house was go to Kabbalah.com. They taught me a lot about the introductions to introductions of introductions, as I like to call it, because that's still what I'm studying as far as I'm concerned. So I'm in their debt. However, I've heard bad things about Bnei Baruch. I've heard bad things about the way that they are using the name of Ashlag in order to teach things that are not exactly kosher. Do I consider them kosher? I have no idea. I really don't. JD says, why do you wrap leather around your arm? I don't. The Nazarite does not wear tefillin, or they wear tefillin all day. But I am of the opinion, personally, for different reasons, I do not wear tefillin on my head, and I do not wear tefillin on my arm. The idea is that wrapping leather phylacteries on your arm, your weak arm, so if you're a righty, it's on the left. If you're a lefty, it's on the right. And putting it over here on the head is to sort of elevate you. It's a crown made of leather. Consider the idea that we use leather like in going back to Eden, where leather was first introduced after the fall from grace, after the expulsion, or right before the expulsion, right? Where God made Adam and Chava garments, right, of leather. And so we use this leather. The boxes of the tefillin inside of them have 4 Torah portions, 4 small portions. Shema v'hayim shamoa kadesh v'hayaki aviacha. They speak basically of the Exodus from Egypt and the fact that we need to put the words of the Torah on our arm, right, and on our head and between our eyes. And it's a sign. That's why people wrap tefillin. It's a sign, right? It's a covenant. The tefillin is a covenant. And I don't do it anymore because of the Nazarite vow, but I've known Nazarites who don't wear tefillin, like me, and I've known Nazarites who wear tefillin all day. That's what's initially supposed to be for everyone, not just Nazarites. Let's continue. Why Jew always killed prophets, idiom says. The Jews did not always kill the prophets, but definitely there have been prophets that were killed by the Jews. Why? I can't excuse them. I would say because they were probably worshiping false gods at the time, and so they killed the people who were trying to turn them back to the one Hebrew God. They did not like the rebuke. They did not like being judged, if they were being judged. They did not like people saying, you're doing wrong, turn away, turn back to Torah. They didn't like it, so they killed them. That's what I would say. If I gave you $10, would Jet triple that? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know what that means, Hassan. What do you mean by if I gave you $10, would you triple it? I'm not sure how I would triple it. Do you know Karaite Jews? Yes, I do, Gritty City. I know Karaite Jews. I'm a fan of Karaite Jews. I think that going by the books of Moses, right, the Torah scroll, I think there's a lot to that. They are indeed considered 100% Jewish. They simply don't follow the oral traditions and rabbinic law as the Orthodox rabbinic traditions dictate. But they are still 100% part of the Hebrew people. They just don't follow the same halacha. Oh, yes. Okay. Bargain says, you guys are the most evil nations. Americans are going to wake up and realize that you've been using them for the last 100 years. Possibly. I don't think we are the most evil nation. If you think that Israel is the most evil nation, you don't know anything about history at all, I'm sorry to say. As for Americans going to wake up, maybe they will. I don't know what. First of all, about 70 to 80% of the money that we get from the U.S., that Israel gets from the U.S., is back to the U.S., right? The arms industry, the military industry, munitions and weapons and upgrades and so on. The other 10 or 20%, or whatever it is, I don't know, to 10 to 30% do indeed stay here. I don't know how they disperse it, so I can't tell you. As for Americans waking up and realizing that we've been using them, America is an ally of Israel because it has American interests in the Middle East. Israel is an ally of the U.S. because it has its interests. We are both benefiting. It's a symbiosis, right? So you can make the argument that Israel is better for the U.S. or the U.S. is better for Israel. It's all, evil, and we've been using them. We use them. They use us. It's a symbiosis. And if it does come, right, if it does come to a point where Americans do feel that Israel is using them, then they will say to their leaders, their congressmen, their people in, on Capitol Hill, they will say, stop, government, don't give Israel anything. Don't do it. And that will be passed. Oh, a super chat came in. Soros says, a Jew in London gave £2 to a stranger in Golders Green for a drink. I don't know what that means. What is the word coming to? This is a strange time. I don't know what Golders Green is, so I have no idea what that means. What is the world coming to, indeed? That I can get behind, but I have no idea. I have no idea what that means. Bargain says, this guy doesn't believe in anything. Fellow Americans, look at who you're trying to replace you with. Look at who your kids are dying for. Look who gets the bulk of your money. Look who lives for free. Really, you think I live for free? You don't think I work for a living? You are gravely mistaken. As for Americans, I am also an American, and I do have a problem. If Israel is actually using America, then the Americans who are living in the US should rise up, talk to their government, and change the rules. Isn't that part of what democracy is all about? You can change certain things. Obviously, there is some interest, right, for the Americans in Israel and Israel in America. I'm thinking maybe bargain ballistics, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you don't know all the facts. I certainly don't. But if the relationship between the US and Israel is so tight, and it is, you got to think maybe there's something beyond what you know. Maybe not. Okay, let's continue. The real POTUS says, how can they rise up when you are blackmailing the whole government? I have no idea who's blackmailing who. I don't know. If you're claiming that Israel is blackmailing America, with what? What do we have on America? What on earth could Israel be using against the United States of America, the world's leading superpower? You think that Israel, this tiny speck of dust in the Middle East, has got America by the balls somehow? Please, it's great that you think it. Explain it to me. Prove it to me. Talk me through it. How is that even possible? Yes. You not inner cabal vampire demons, says Shiny Wizard. Hey, it's nice to meet a fellow wizard. As for inner cabal vampire demons, I'm not sure what that means. I know people say Jews control the world. I don't, but maybe others do. What do you evil wizard... Oh, more wizards. What do you genuinely think about being banned from 110 places? Is it everyone else's fault but yours? And also, what is the solution to prevent the number from growing? Well, look, first of all, Israel is the solution so far, and maybe it's a bad solution according to some, but it is a solution, if not the solution. As for what do I think of it, I think that probably something to do with Jew hatred played a part. Something to do with the Jews and their history, the fact that we are different in some ways plays a part. But people will always find ways to hate on Jews. You know, they're not religious enough, they're too religious, they're too rich, they're too poor, they don't integrate enough, they're integrating too much. Whatever it is, people will find reasons to hate Jews. Now, I'm not excusing the Jews. It could very well be that the Jews brought it on themselves by acting a certain way, speaking a certain way, trying to revolutionize certain things. I have no idea. You'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis. Ask me, why were they expelled from Spain? Why were they expelled from England? Why were they expelled from all of the Arab Muslim countries after the establishment of the State of Israel? You'll find different answers, likely, to all of those different questions pertaining to those different geographical locations. So I can't speak to all of it as a whole, other than saying a little of column A, a little of column B. Jew hatred and Jew fault. But I have no idea what the fault would be. See? It's the little hats, people hate those. Maybe Alex JJ, maybe it's the kippah, maybe that's it. Bargain says, nobody hates you, nobody hates Jews, nobody hates Jews, you shouldn't hate Jews, you should hate this guy for supporting Israel in the death of children. Really, I said I support the death of children? Please, tell me, where did I say that? I've been online for many years, and I have over 700 videos on my channel. Please, show me where I said I support the death of children. Are you crazy? Truly, I'm asking you. Give me something to work with, because you're talking nonsense. Okay. Let's continue. You know, Jew people consider us animals, right? Like we are not human in their eyes, says the more blindness. False. Some Jews consider themselves to be supreme. I don't. I think that's a horrible rhetoric and a horrible way to go about life, thinking that you're superior or better, or that you are X, but they are Y. I consider us all to be human beings made in the image of God. There's absolutely no difference between Jews and Gentiles, other than our traditions, our customs, right? Our faith, perhaps, the way we live life. But the Jews who consider us animals, do I know that? Yes, I know that some Jews consider themselves to be superior. You'll find the same thing in China. You'll find the same thing in Japan. You'll find the same thing in Africa. You'll find the same thing in Australia. Wherever you have a large group of people, there will always be a certain percent of those people who think they are better. You know, they can be bigoted, they can be racist, they can be with like these preconceived, prepackaged notions about righteousness and who's better than other. I don't fall for any of that. I think that's a bunch of crap. Really, I do. I think it's a bunch of crap. I don't think that Gentiles are animals. I don't think that Jews are better. I don't think that we are smarter, more knowledgeable. None of the above. I think we are just Hebrew people trying to do our Hebrew thing. And that seems to be a thorn in many people's sides. As for those who have said over the years, including people to this day, that the Jews have a divine soul, but the Gentiles have an animal soul, I go, okay, that's your position. Feel free to think that. I don't think that. So if you're going to come at anybody, don't come at me. I'm on your side. I don't think that Gentiles are animals or cattle or below, subhuman or any of that crazy stuff. Those who do think it, feel free to think it. I'm not gatekeeping anything. Okay. It's his job to fool us, says the real POTUS. Oh, shucks. You're right. That's it. You've unmasked me. I'm trying to fool all of you. People. Do I look like anybody who can fool anybody? Look at me. Does it not appear that maybe I'm just spewing my verbal diarrhea without much of a filter? Don't you think if I was gonna fool people, it would have come up by now? Those of you who've been with me, for years or even for a few months. Don't you think it would have been already apparent that I'm trying to fool you? And let's grant that. Let's say I'm trying to fool you. You're absolutely right. What is it, the real POTUS, that I'm trying to fool you into doing or becoming? Am I Satan? I want to make you my minions? Join my clan? Okay. You look like a hippie man. Well, to be hip means to be aware. I am trying to raise my awareness, magic tech. So yes, I am indeed a hippie. I am a hippy dippy trippy yid. Are you Muslim? No, I'm not, Hassan. You pray 5 times? No, I don't. I mean, I pray daily, but not specifically 5 times like Muslims do. So yeah. Idiom says there is a lot of Arab Jew around the world. Yes, and I've known several of them. And they can very high positions in life and used to live and work in Arab countries. Do you think Arab Jew want to go back to their Arab countries? Likely, if they thought they had any chance of being treated properly, right? Maybe they left. In some cases, they were kicked out. In other cases, they left because they saw what's about to happen. They were not under any kind of impression that things are going to get better. So in some ways, there was an ethnic cleansing, if you will. If you look before the establishment of the State of Israel, there were millions, right? Hundreds of thousands, millions of Mizrahi Jews. Look now, compare the numbers before 1948 to the numbers these days. From hundreds and thousands, so many communities, you're down to a few numbers, literally sometimes a handful of Jews in places like Syria, Libya, Iraq, Egypt, Iran. So I think that maybe they would want to go back to those Arab countries because there were times when they were treated really, really well. And maybe they're not treated as well in the State of Israel. But security-wise, I don't think that they would be. I don't think that they would be safe there. I think that if they were going to be safe there, they would not have moved, or they definitely would not have been kicked out. If they were in a high position of power and influence in those countries, why were they kicked out? Why didn't they stay? Okay, let's continue. Oh, I missed a super chat. Oh, hey, look at that. Thanks, babe. I missed a super chat, says my wife. 109 places, still here, good survival strategy. Hey, Soros, indeed, still here. Thanks, baby. Appreciate it. Are there synagogues in Iran? Yes, there are. Yo, Adrian. Good to see you again. There are synagogues in Iran. I don't know how many. Probably not many. SRAH says, hello, what is your view on the death penalty introduced in Israel? So I know that death penalty was introduced in Israel now again. I haven't read the law or the bill. Maybe it's not a law yet. I haven't looked into the details. I think that on the one hand, it could be not good, but it could be some form of justice. On the other hand, it opens up space for so much injustice that you gotta wonder if it's worth it, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it actually worth it to introduce a death to introduce a death penalty to Israel now, when the only one individual was ever executed here in Israel, that was Adolf Eichmann. So, I don't know. I must look into the details of this. So I can't tell you if I'm for it or against it. I love you, mate, says Len. Ignore stupid, nasty people. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. At least you should be telling the truth, says Harb. Okay, where am I not telling the truth? Please tell me. Malik says, Jizya is often criticized, while zakat, that's charity, like tzedakah in Hebrew, zakat, it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam, if I'm not mistaken, was also mandatory for Muslims. Is it fair to say both groups contributed to the state in different ways? Your opinion, please. Of course, Muslims and Arabs who live here contributed for a ton of time. And there was a time when the most prominent philosophers and poets and thinkers were Muslim. They had their golden age, and it was wonderful. However, from what I've known, from what I've read, which granted is not much, but it's kind of like, when was the last time you had a Muslim who won a Nobel Prize that's not the bullshit peace Nobel Prize? When was the last time that a Muslim philosopher, poet, scientist, I don't know what, was like in a high-ranking, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying that maybe it is because of, let's say, religious extremism or fundamentalism or I don't know what, that it's not that way anymore. But definitely both groups contributed to the state, any state that they were in. Both groups continue to contribute wherever they are. But you got to look at the percentages, maybe, as individuals, of course, Muslims and Jews and Christians and everybody, wherever you are, whoever you are, you can find a way to contribute to the place you're in. All right? That's like a given. That's a good thing. It's a good thing you are a sovereign individual, right? Hopefully. And you're able to do some good in your own self, in your own home, in your own community, right? And the radius of influence grows as you mature and as you gain more influence and mastery and discipline over your own life. Is it fair to say both groups contributed? Of course both groups contributed, and they continue to contribute. Magic Text says, Hebrew Nazarite, are you familiar with the work of Stuart Swerdlow? He is working with Yira Ha'ari. No, I actually had Yira Ha'ari here for a dialogue, which was very nice. I would love to do it again. I'm not familiar with the work of Stuart Swerdlow. No, Magic Tech, I am not. Who is stronger judged? Oh, I'm sorry. Who is stronger, Istanbul or Turkey? I'm not sure what that means. I really don't know what you mean, Asim. Who are you asking here? I have no knowledge too much of Turkey, so I have no idea. Let's continue. Thank God you are not anti-Semitic, says your mind thinker. Who's not? Oh, anti-Islamic, sorry. No, I'm not anti-Islamic because I don't purport to know Islam. If I knew something about Islam, maybe I can actually then have an opinion. I know the terrorist regimes here are Muslim. I know what they have to say. I'm not a fan of that. I'm anti that, but I'm not anti-Islam at large. Let's continue. Who is stronger, Turkey or Israel? What do you mean? Why even have the comparison? By what? What are you measuring it by? I mean, the general gross product, munitions and army, industry, medicine, science, art. What is the metric by which you measure strength, Asem Mohammed? I have no idea. Watching you from Pakistan. Hey, hello there in Pakistan, your mind thinker. It's nice to see you. I see young boys playing on a field with joy, says It's Tricky. Young boys playing on a field with joy. That reminds me of Yisachaku ha'ne'arim lefanenu in the book of Judges. Or was it Kings? No, Judges. Okay, let's continue. Be careful of your hate, says It's Tricky. Yes, I agree. Be careful of your hate, right? That's like the dark side of the Force. That's the Sith right there, right? Hate leads to suffering. Papa Tan said hi. Hello, Papa Tan. How you doing? How you doing? It's my Joey. Military power, brother? I have no idea. Again, are you talking about military capabilities? Are you talking about numbers of people enlisted or in the reserves? What are you talking about? I have no idea. It's tricky, says, bro, just know Israel is being watched ever so closely. Yes, Israel is being watched closely. When is Israel not being watched closely? If you look at, let's say, the UN resolutions, like a stupid amount of them are anti-Israel and are about Israel, when there's so much other crap going on. But, what are you going to do? Ziad says, what is your opinion of the Palestinian people? What do you think of Israel occupying East Jerusalem? Well, first of all, the Palestinian people are simply people living in what was formerly the British Mandate of Palestine. I don't consider them to be a people. I do consider them to be people who lived here for hundreds or maybe thousands of years. Jews as well lived here for hundreds and thousands of years. But there was never a Palestinian nation. There was never a Palestinian flag. There was never a Palestinian anthem. There was never a Palestinian group of people or a country. That's an identity that was formed in the early to mid 20th century. The flag was only brought in in 1966 or 67. Arafat, the PLO, that whole thing. What do I think of Israel occupying East Jerusalem? I think that it is not occupying it. I think that it is the spoil of war. I think that it would have been occupying it if it simply took it by force, but it was Jordan who had it. And Jordan lost the war of 1967, so it's not occupied land in any way. Also, East Jerusalem was offered several times to the Palestinian leadership as the capital of a state of Palestine. And the leadership said, no, we don't want it. So there you go. Israel is not occupying it. Israel is simply enjoying it, let's say, as something taken in war. I have no hate, says Shiny, only questions I seek to know, but I know you do not know. I want you to also investigate. Okay, cool. I'm all about investigating. That's all good. All good. Egypt didn't want Palestinians. No, Egypt didn't want Gaza when they signed the peace accords in the 70s, and Egypt has a border, a huge wall between them and Gaza. And they would not take any Gazans into their own country. No judgment, I'm just saying that's the case. They did not want the Palestinians, they did not want Gaza. That's it. Favorite Batman, ooh, that's a good one. So I haven't seen all of them, but since I'm an 80s baby, I'm a fan of, I like Michael Keaton. I like Michael Keaton's Batman, right? The original 1 and 2, right? Batman and Batman Returns. I really, really did love that original one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker. It was a different take on the comic book, but I think my favorite Batman is probably that. But I mean, yeah, I think Michael Keaton as Batman, I think that's my favorite. But I'm not sure. It's been such a long time, and I haven't watched a lot of them. I haven't watched them. Most of them, I think I didn't watch. Okay. Hey, bro, William Barry says. Hello, William Barry. Good to see you again. Egypt took 7 children under 4. They can still be reprogrammed, says Molly. What? I'm not sure what that means. French Toast says, why are the Jews in Israel spitting on Christians in Israel? So some Jews are doing that. I think it's an abhorrent thing, and I condemn that action and those people who carry it out. I think if you're going to be spitting because you think if you think God wants you to spit, then, like I say all the time, have some distance between them and spit discreetly on the ground if you think that that's something you need to be doing. Don't spit on people. I think that's a horrible practice, and I condemn it, and I condemn the people who carry it out. I think that's a horrible thing to do. Why are they doing it? Because Christians are considered idolaters, and idolatry is something that is not tolerated according to Torah in the land of Israel. But of course, we are not living in a theocracy, so people will do what they will. Evil Wizard says, share some bad trip experiences if you've had any. No, I have never had a bad trip. I have done my fair share of psychedelics. Hopefully, in the course of my life, in the future, I will continue. But I am always, always very careful to have my setting set up accordingly. And I'm careful about what I do and who I do it with and under what circumstances. So I never had a bad trip in my life. How did they impact you or make you realize about yourself? Did they change how you view stuff? If you have had none, share some good ones. Well, look, the best trip I've ever been on was the 15th of Av. What was it, 6 or 7 years ago? I took what's equivalent to 5 dried grams of psilocybin mushrooms alone in silent darkness. And I had in my previous channel, before it was deleted from YouTube, I had a lengthy trip report, like 20 minutes, where I spoke of the trip that I had. To this day, it still is the most amazingly psychedelic experience I've ever had. Highly spiritual, very revealing. I truly felt like Moses on the mountain in those days, not in the sense of a lawgiver, but in the sense of the connection, right? For that time, for those, did I say days? Those hours that I was alone, naked, in silent darkness on 5 dried grams, the equivalent, right? A hero dose, as Dr. Terence McKenna said. A hero dose, naked, alone, in silent darkness. I've had many good trips in my life, many of them. Always great experiences, you know, so, but that's the one that I will share. That's one that I shared online, but I've had many good trips in my life. And I would love to experience more good trips in my life. I think it's a wonderful thing if you do it in measure. UN hates UK too, says RDR. Hi, good to see you again, RDR. And wants to pay trillions in reparations, even though we had hundreds of men die at sea to stop the slave trade and paid up until the 1990s. First country to fight the trade. Yes, the British Empire lost many lives and spent a ton to actually stop the slave trade, to stop the slave ships from bearing their cargo across the great seas. And yes, it's true, the UK were the first ones to just fight it in with that much of a fervor. And good for the UK. That's a wonderful thing. But as for reparations, I don't know the technicalities of the reparations. I have no idea why it would go down, how it would go down, towards whom, and who is going to weight the different. How are you going to weight it? How are you going to decide who owes what to whom by which metric? It's like almost impossible to do. God gave mushrooms to enlighten, says Shiny Wizard. I agree. God gave mushrooms to enlighten. That's definitely true. Mushrooms are the great bridge between the animal kingdom and the vegetable kingdom. Neva says, sir, you are one of the humblest and most educated person I've ever heard. No, don't make that mistake. I am not educated. I am not a learned man. I am not an educated man. I'm just a simple dumbass in the Middle East with a phone. I am always a learner, always a student, and never the teacher. Let's get that straight. As for being humble, I try, and I fail, and I miss the mark plenty of times. But that is indeed part of my greatest aspiration, to live a life that is a humble life, to live in humility, to give things their proper time and place, to know myself, to know my worth, to not be proud, to not be boastful, and humility is the greatest thing in the world if you can pull it off. Definitely. Do you think multiculturalism works? So that's a term that I think. Look, let's take communism or socialism that works on a small scale, but then breaks down on a larger scale. Multiculturalism, from what I've seen, can work on a small scale, but for some reason it breaks down on a large scale, because if you have a large civilization, a large conglomerate, let's say, of people and places and traditions and customs, and you need to decide and have a hierarchy. And as soon as you have a hierarchy of values, already some people will be at the top and others will be closer to the bottom. That is the nature of any hierarchy. So then you can say, but no, if we have a multiculturalism, it should be flat. But we assign value to different things, and that immediately causes a hierarchy. So there are cultures who put emphasis on X, Y, and Z. There are cultures who put a greater emphasis on A, B, and C. And if you want to have multiculturalism that is actually that and can also have a hierarchy of values, I don't see how that can work on a larger scale. I can see how that might be able to work on a smaller scale. So do I think it works? Maybe. I don't know enough about it. It's one of those terms that I hear, but I haven't investigated it enough. It's also an academic term, right? It has an actual dictionary definition that I, to my shame, do not know offhand. I can sort of think and discern what it means from the word. So that's what I would say based just on that. Do you watch movies and read books? Yes, I do. What do you do in your free time? Well, look, I'm a father. I've got kids. I've got a full-time job. And in my free time, I do this. But I do watch movies, I do read books. I'm actually in the middle of reading the book, The Body Keeps the Score, the mind and the body, right, in the face of trauma. And also this week, I'm going to have a long therapy session of like 2.5 to 3 hours, which I've never had. I've only ever had 45 minutes to 60 minutes, 70 minutes or 75 minutes tops, because my therapist is awesome. But this week, we're going to have a deep dive And I really, really, truly hope, right? Speaking of doing things in your free time, reading books, trauma, hopefully this week, through this therapy session, a deep dive into myself and my psyche, hopefully it will be a psychedelic experience. It will be a mind-revealing and just a profound, I'm hoping for a profound experience that could help to make me even better and to help me deal with to help me. Okay, let's continue. Describe the world's most perfect hummus, says Ariel. Hey, Ariel Marshall. Well, I don't know if the world's most perfect hummus, but there are two hummus places in Jerusalem that I love. Hummus Pinati, Hummus Talpiot. There are small hummusiyot, let's say, in Arab villages next to the old city, and a couple in the old city that I don't go to regularly, but that have great hummus. Describe it. Okay, it's vegan, it's hot, and it comes with falafel on the side and with hot schug. That's what it is. I don't need drugs to do this. I just do, says Josh. Hey, Josh, good to see you again. No, nobody needs drugs. I mean, in the sense of like recreational or psychedelic, no. But to supplement your life with drugs, giving it their proper time and place, right? Harm reduction, education, all of that is integral to anything to do with drugs, be it something that your therapist or psychiatrist prescribes, or be it something that you take from a dealer off the street. You got to test your drugs. You got to know what you're getting into, setting again and again and again, or you're going to have a bad time. So yeah, but many people are drug-free. Many people are straight edge. And they live a great life, and they are high on life, and I deeply appreciate that. People who are straight edge really know what they're doing. I don't know if they, maybe not everybody should be straight edge. Not everybody should be on drugs. You know what I'm saying? Drugs can really, really ruin your life if you, they're that special. They could be so special that they ruin your life and cause you to miss out on life's simple pleasures. And you're thinking, oh man, I wish I had some this. I wish I could do some that. Oh man, I got to get some this. You're always comparing your sober self to your drugged up self. That's no kind of a life to lead. Definitely not. Josh says, I'm not for kings to drink strong drink lest he forget. Well, the king of Israel is supposed to write a Torah scroll, or have the people of Levi, of the Levite tribe, write a scroll for him. He's supposed to have one in his treasures, right, in his halls, and on his arm, literally tied to his arm, the king of Israel. Oh, pardon me. Envy says, thank God drugs are haram. Yes, Muslims don't partake of alcohol and of other drugs, at least I think. Certain Muslims, like you perhaps, say that they are haram and nobody should be touching them. I've known Muslims who drink and who smoke cannabis, so to each his own, Alcohol is actually made in cell reproduction. Well, I mean, if you're talking about the chemical substance, right? Alcohol or ethanol or whatever it is that it's called, sure. But if you drink it or partake of it in a way that already causes like an imbalance in your mind, that's a different story altogether. I'm definitely, back when I was still drinking, I definitely enjoyed a glass of wine. I definitely enjoyed a bottle of beer. I definitely enjoyed a shot of scotch. But it's not something I did on a daily basis, let's say. Oh man, I loved a good beer. I've had one or two non-alcoholic beers. Maybe I should do that again. I haven't done that in such a long time. MT says, some psychedelic drugs can genuinely bring out dormant psychosis. Exactly. If governments cared for their people, they would push for safe consumption with doctor consultation rather than illegalize. I agree. I definitely agree. And I think that, I'm not on the boards, but I think MDMA got a bad rap and it should be considered therapeutic. Psilocybin should be considered therapeutic. People should be integrating these things, doing the experiments, getting the permissions, going through the ethics boards, and getting these into the therapeutic community. Have you done DMT? No, I haven't, but I think I do want to do it someday. Any contact with other dimensional creatures? Nope. Anything that I've ever done of a psychedelic nature, it was always the substance revealing me to myself. I never saw things that were outside of myself. I understand that all of it originated in my psyche. All of it originates in the way that I view the world, What psychedelics do, as you may or may not know, is they break apart some of the filters through which you view reality. So anything that you experience has its origins in your brain, in your mind, in your psyche, in your embodied self. And it's only about how you are experiencing and perceiving that which is being presented to you. DMT, however, they say that you really are being shot out of your physical self, which is where people are saying these machine elves come into play. But I have had no contact with other dimensional creatures under DMT. I have had some contact with what you would consider divine messengers, but nothing with other dimensional creatures under DMT. I haven't done DMT, so I don't know. Maybe I will if I do it. Soros, I'm gonna hop off. Take care. Thank you for your contributions. All goes to charity. God willing, we'll make it happen. What's your favorite food? Could you explain it? My favorite food is falafel. Falafel is my favorite food. You know, packed in with hummus and trina and veggies and schrug. But yeah, that's my favorite food. Just wrapped up in a big lafa. I love it. Love it. There's nothing quite like it. I could eat it each day, and I won't tire from eating it. Jews and Muslims worship the same God. Do you agree? I'm inclined to agree, but because I don't know Islam in depth or even at the surface, I don't know that for a fact. But it seems that halachically speaking, you're allowed to enter, in most cases, you're allowed to enter a mosque, but you're not allowed to enter a church, which would cause me to think that Islam and the Hebrew faith share to some degree the same God, but I don't know. Ray says, the Philistines have lived there since biblical times. What are talking about? Jews and Philistines lived together, and most of all, Jews were Arab back then. No, Jews come from Judea, Arabs come from Arabia. Get your facts straight. Those are two different geographical locations. The Arabian Peninsula is where Arabs are from. They had a huge journey and conquered throughout hundreds of years many places, and later on spread Islam into those places. However, no, that's not true. Philistines Plishtim came from Pleshet. Pleshet is part of the Greek Isles. They were invaders from the northwest. That's where they came. Northwest? Yes. The Plishtim were invaders from the northwest. They were not indigenous to Canaan. They were not indigenous to the Canaanite land. They were invaders, which is also why they happened. Okay. They are not one of the 7 nations that the people of Israel were commanded to eradicate when they entered the land of Canaan. The Plishtim are not mentioned. The Plishtim are mentioned later, and they were always a thorn in the side of the ancient Israelites, and that's why when Rome wanted to spite the Jews after they took over, they called this region Provincia Syria Palestina, which means the province of Assyria and the Philistines. Assyria famously exiled the 10 tribes, right? The king of Assyria, Shalmaneser II, if I'm not mistaken, it was him. And the Plishtim, who were always a pain in the ass, in the collective Israeli ass, that's why they called it that. So Jews and Philistines in biblical times did live together, but they were mostly enemies. So that's what I'm talking about. And if I'm wrong, by all means, I'm not claiming to be right. I'm claiming that that is the history as I know it. If you have a different history, if you have different data you'd want to present, by all means, show me where it says or where there's data that shows that Jews and Philistines lived side by side in peace for a prolonged period of time. Josh says, Jews are always welcome to the mosque. Yeah, that's right. That's what I know as well. Malik says, how do you view the recent US-Iran ceasefire? I mean, it's a blessed thing. Anytime we're not fighting is a good thing. Is Israel likely to stop attacking Lebanon, given Iran's condition in ongoing negotiations? I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe we can have actual peace with Lebanon. Maybe Hezbollah can be disarmed, finally. And maybe Lebanon could get their country back. I appreciate your positive and calm responses. You know, I don't mean to be negative or chaotic. I'm just spitting it the way that it is. And if you think the way that it is, that I'm spitting it that is wrong, by all means, challenge me, push back against me. All right. You know what? It's been just over 2 hours. a good time to say goodbye. I deeply appreciate your time and your kind and gentle attention and your encouragement and the likes and the subs and the views and the engagement here in the chat and in the comments and the trolls and the haters and the spam. It's lovely. I deeply appreciate it. If I didn't get to you in the chat, I'm sorry. It wasn't intentional. Leave a comment. I think I'll be up for like a half hour or an hour. I'm in the middle of watching Star Trek Picard. I'm almost done. So, thank you. I don't take it for granted that you're here with me. God willing, I'll see you on the next live stream where the wonders never cease. Until then, be blessed, be a blessing, be the light in other people's lives. And until then, goodbye and good night from Jerusalem. God willing, I'll see you on the next one. Whew, this was fun.